And for the second subtopic is ocean floor. So before we start, let us view a short video of the ocean floor features.
Welcome to Moo Math and Science and the ocean floor. The ocean floor is made up of various landscapes, including mountains, valleys, and plains. These underwater surfaces of the ocean floor are located from the shallow part of the ocean to its deepest part. The continental shelf is the underwater edge of the continent. It extends from the shore to a depth of about 600 feet and has a gentle slope. About 50 miles from the shore is a steep slope called the continental slope. The continental slope leads from the continental shelf towards the seafloor and is also deeper than the shelf. About 12 or 13 miles away from the shore into the ocean is the continental rise. The continental rise is a buildup of sediment and sand on the ocean floor at the bottom of the continental slope. It is usually sand and mud that stretches from the slope down to the deep sea floor. One of the flattest places on Earth is at the end of the continental rise. The abyssal plain is a large area of flat land that covers almost half the ocean. These were formed when most of the hills and the valleys at the bottom of the ocean were buried under a layer of sand and mud a long time ago. There may also be huge underwater mountains called seamounts. The peak rises hundreds of miles from the ocean floor. Seamounts are also volcanoes that are formed in the same way as a volcano on land. Hot molten rock rose from inside the Earth's surface and cooled into a solid. Sometimes a seamount may appear as an island. The Hawaiian Islands are an example of a chain of islands formed by seamounts. There are also trenches located at the ocean floor. An ocean trench is a V-shaped valley that is long and narrow, and they are the deepest parts on Earth. They may extend 5 or 6 miles below sea level. Mount Everest would fit inside the largest trench and would still be over a mile below the surface of the Earth. The largest deep-sea trench is about 7 miles deep. Trenches are so deep, sunlight will never reach these areas. In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean is a huge mountain range rising above the ocean floor. This is known as the Mid-Ocean Ridge. The Mid-Ocean Ridge is part of a chain of mountains called the Mid-Ocean Ridges. These ridges wind their way through all the world's major oceans. The Mid-Ocean Ridge extends the entire length of the Atlantic Ocean. The mountain ranges were also formed by volcanoes and molten rock that cooled and hardened. Finally, the ocean floor is home to hot springs called seafloor vents. These vents are formed when seawater trickles down from newly formed ocean crust. Eventually, the water becomes saturated with minerals and it boils out of a vent into the crust. So in summary, the ocean floor is a vast area made up of various landforms called the continental shelf, the continental slope, and rise. There are also the abyssal plain, which is the flattest place on Earth. Other landforms include seamounts, ocean ridges, and ocean trenches. Thanks for watching, and remember, kindness multiplies kindness. Be kind to someone today.
So that's the ocean floor features. But first, ocean floor has the same general characteristic as the land areas of the world, like mountains, plains, channels, canyons, exposed rocks, and sediments covered areas. The lack of weathering and erosion in most areas, however, allows the geological process to be seen more clearly on the seafloor than on land. Underwater landforms. The undersea landscape, as complex as anything you may find on the land, extends beneath the flat ocean surface. Despite the ocean's average depth of 2.3 miles, the seafloor's depth and the structures are complicated. While some features like seamounts, canyons may be recognizable, others like hydrothermal vents and methane seeps are only found in deep ocean. And the example of ocean floors features is continental shelf. Continental shelf, crossing the continental shelf would be the first step in journey across an ocean basin along the seafloor starting from the land. The continental shelf is the area of ocean that surrounds land that is typically only a few hundred feet deep in some locations. It is small or almost non-existent. while in others it stretches hundreds of kilometers. Usually nutrients and light from upwelling and runoff make waters around the continental shelf fruitful. So as we can see in the video, before I read this, before I do this, you can see that the continental shelf only found in the would be first step across the ocean basin along the seafloor. We can see it in the first part of the ocean. So if you watch the video, you can see how what is the continental shelf. Abyssal plains. You would go across the ocean basin and then descend the inclined continent of the abyssal plain. Abyssal plains are the largest habitat on Earth, occupying 70% of the ocean's floor at a depth of over 10,000 feet. These deep, gloomy ecosystems are less productive than those around the continental shelf because the sunlight cannot reach the sea floor. These plains, despite their name, are not all flat. Features like hills, valleys, and seamounts separates them. Underwater mountains that are also hotspots for biodiversity. Mid-ocean ridges. You would come across the mid-ocean ridge, an underwater mountain range that extends over 4,000 miles and rises to an average depth of 8,000 feet. As it rose up from the abyssal plain, this network of underwater volcanoes generates the longest mountain range on Earth by circling the entire ocean. And for the last one is ocean trenches. You might come up upon an ocean trench after mounting the mid-ocean ridge and traveling hundreds to thousands of kilometers of abyssal plains. For instance, the Mariana Trench at 36,201 feet depth is the deepest part of the ocean. Finally, you would climb back up to the continental slope and across the continental shelf by the 10,000 of feet. You would arrive at the coast of the different continent after traveling up an ocean basin. So, this is all about the ocean floor. So, to learn more, let us proceed to the other subtopic, the tides, currents, and waves.